Hey guys, thank you and welcome to another special edition of the VDoor Locksmith Show. Today is a special one because we're broadcasting on a Tuesday. I know we're usually doing this on Friday mornings, but we're trying to do something a little different. We're just testing a couple of things out. Plus, this episode and yesterday's episode, we are promoting a special SPE event that's coming up called SPE Energy DOT, where academia, Silicon Valley, and oil and gas tech are all coming together for one event to be able to talk about what's the future of energy. On today's episode, I am very proud to pronounce we have Amit Mehta joining us. Amit, thanks for being here today, sir.
Thanks for having me here, Dave.
It's a great time to be in the industry and especially to be involved with anything digital. We talked about this a little bit yesterday on the show, is that, you know, we've got a lot of things that are coming out new that are mechanical hardware stuff, but I think the biggest push in the industry right now is on the digital side. So Amit, give us a quick little rundown of who you are and who Mobilize is, and we'll kind of go from there. I'm really eager to ask you a bunch of other questions, but I know I have to slow it down, and anybody who hasn't met you or know who Mobilize is yet, we've got to lay the foundation there, and then we can get running with some of the fun questions.
Sure. So a little background about me. I actually graduated from Cambridge University in England. Then I moved to the US and just got an entrepreneurial bug like yourself and many other entrepreneurs out there who want to change the world. And I thought I should definitely lead the pack in terms of changing the way oil field works forever. So that's really a little bit about my background. The background of Mobilize is that we've been leading the charge of how to monetize data to create the industry's first vertically integrated platform, like Viva systems created for the medical industry, Procore created for the construction market. And that's really the way we are trying to lead and make a difference there.
So give me a quick little rundown. Oh, actually, I got to stop here and say, we've got viewers. So today's show is live, and because we've got live people, I've actually got somebody calling me from Conroe right now. Sorry, whoever's calling me at this moment. I can't answer the phone right now. It's bad enough that I'm playing on my phone while doing an interview with the CEO of a company. All right. So we've got Nate LaRue, my buddy of mine over at Newsco, says, "What's up, home slice?" Nate, thanks as always for joining the show. George Danforth, who was on watching yesterday's show, he's back for another one. And Jerry Mealy, thanks Jerry for watching. Anybody else, please comment. Let us know where you're watching from. Today's show, we want people to get engaged, and to the point that I want you guys to get engaged. We've got 15 viewers watching right now. I'm going to give some stuff away today. If we get at least 10 questions from the audience, then after we get the 10th question, then what I'm going to do is want to ask you guys a trivia question that's actually going to be about Mobilize, right? Ask you a trivia question about Mobilize. Whoever gets that question right, I'm going to buy you a nice FR button-up Carhartt shirt. You will know who the winner is. I'll get in touch with you. I'll figure out what size you want, and I will ship it to you. Just like that, right? So we've also got, so Nate says he's watching from OKC. George is watching from Houston. Look at this. Peter is watching from Canada. Zach Powers from Houston, Texas. Jessica Patton from Austin, Texas. Great. I like it. We're already starting to get more people engaged. Also, hit the little button that lets me know. I just see that out of my peripheral that things are, flying up offside the screen, and lets us know that people are watching. So keep doing it, guys. We'll keep giving everybody a shout out here. Let us know what company you're working for, because I don't see that on there as well, so we can plug your company. So like I said, to at least 10 questions. I'll keep track of them on here. And somebody's going to end up winning a free Carhartt shirt. So you got a 1 in 17 chance right now as far as get the extra material ready for buddy Nate. All right, guys. So Amit, back to you. Apologize for that. Just had to be able to. We want to get the conversations flowing. So people, do share this. Tell me a little bit about what it is. You obviously said you guys are trying to create the vertical integration as far as being able to digitize the oil field and do it correctly, right? What are some of the things that you guys are doing? What are the problems that you guys are solving?
So it's a great question, Dave. The biggest problem we are solving is very much like Uber did for you and I in a personal life, right? Think about that before Uber, how we used to order a cab, and then we used to go to our destination. So Uber basically created a platform which joined consumers, which is you and I, the producers, which was the drivers, and it essentially created this app where you and I could essentially make a decision with almost zero decision latency. And who would have thought that we would allow, a stranger to pick us up and drive us to our destination, right? We'd have not thought about it a couple of years back.
That's
So
very
we're doing
true.
the same thing with the energy market, where the consumers are the E&P industry, right? The E&P clients themselves. And they have lots of cumbersome workflows within their companies and also outside their companies with the producers, who could be hardware providers, who could be the third-party optimization app providers. So we're trying to simplify those cumbersome workflows where you can create an agile enterprise where you can do more with less, and you can essentially reduce all the workflows, the cumbersome workflows, all the way from planning to daily operations to post-fall analysis and reporting. So imagine if all the workflows you have in these four big areas, if they can be collapsed to virtually creating that Uber-like scenario where you can just act on things. So A, you can trust the data you see. You like the insight which that data is presenting you, whether it's guided by machine learning or AI. And then you can act upon it without thinking twice. So what that makes is it makes everybody good busy versus bad busy. And I think that's really been our focus, that human capital is everything in my mind. And versus focusing on making machines smarter, we decided let's first focus on making the humans smarter, who basically are selecting those machines which go downhole.
Excellent. There's so many little nuggets in there of what you just said, and I really like how to be, you know, the what did you say works the work
Cumbersome
smarter?
workflow, yeah,
Yeah,
make the smarter, not machines first.
I mean that's it. That instead of smart work versus busy work, right? That right there is so important in our industry because there's so much that's being done and everybody's just doing it because not so much that's the way we've always done it. That's just it. It's just that like that's just we get so ingrained in like okay this is just how things get done as opposed to like hey let's take a step back look at this process and think how is there a way to be able to mitigate the amount of time that we're having to delegate to this task to be able to make things go a little bit smoother and a little bit faster so then you could spend time on more important things. We talked a little bit of pre-show about that, but it's that's awesome stuff. So let's see here. Demo from Aberdeen. Hey guys, still keep letting us know where you guys are watching us from. So let me ask you this: you give this kind of workflow with the data that you guys have. You guys are, I'm guessing that you're spreading that across multiple clients and allowing multiple clients to be able to benefit from the collective group. Is that right?
Correct. That's one of our native apps in our platform. It's called Pro Insights. Absolutely. So what we do is instead of trying to kind of like Rushmore did from IHS, it was a very cumbersome manual process, right? You had to, as an operator, fill your Excel sheets. And then after filling the Excel sheets, you had to submit that to Rushmore. Then you have a back and forth with Rushmore trying to validate that data. And then you present it in a consortium. And we said, what if you can collapse the inefficiency in this entire process? And because we are working with a community of over 50 plus operators, we said, why don't we present this data with deeper operational insights anonymously? Because at the end of the day, operators care about the real substance, not the name of the operator. So if you are drilling next to 15 other operators, you really care about what their connections are, what their sliding efficiencies are, what their rotations are, what their flat times are. Those are more important than the name of the operator. So because we are sitting on a wealth or a gold mine of high quality data, because that's really what started Mobilize. We started as a company with high quality data 6 years back when nobody was talking about data quality, because we knew there's real value when you mine and monetize high resolution data, i.e. 1 second or even more than 1 second data. Once we mined it, then it was really how do we monetize it? And that's really where we kind of led the industry. And not to mention, I don't know how many people know here, we actually fought a lawsuit and spent $1 million cash to disrupt the industry. by on rig states,
Hold on, hold on, hold
which
on.
opened the floodgates for many of the startups to come in the
Hold
market.
on, Amit, hold on, just a second. The internet buffered for
Yes.
just a second there, as you were just saying some pretty good stuff there.
Repeat that last sentence.
So just repeat that last part. You said y'all were in a lawsuit. Is that what I got
Yeah,
correctly?
we actually,
Say that again.
to, to me, just like Uber, when Uber disrupted the market, they had to fight the lawsuits with the taxi companies. Mobilize was the first one to disrupt the industry, and we fought the lawsuit with a company at that time called TDE. And they had a patent for 20 years where nobody could automatically build rig states based on raw data. So because we were leading
Oh,
that pack and we innovated, they came after us with a lawsuit. And we fought the lawsuit all the way up to Supreme Court. And not many
wow.
people know about this because this was happening in 2015 when there was bloodbath on the streets, and essentially the whole downturn has just started at the time. So we fought the lawsuit, spent $1 million cash, didn't get more than $15,000 court fees returned by the federal government or the courthouse in that case. And but the good news, the priceless win was we actually at the Supreme Court level got to invalidate the patent, which opened the floodgates for new innovations to happen. And ultimately, that's what it comes down to in life. You should be
Wow.
for innovations to happen versus sit on patents.
Wow. That is. I will say bravo to you for taking that level of risk and believing that much in your product to be able to push it all the way to the Supreme Court. That is
Thank
that
you.
is true belief in what you're doing and in your mission statement. I guess that's a great way to be able to look at some of these startup companies. Like, do you believe in it enough to be able to go to the Supreme Court to defend it?
Yeah, I know it was I felt like a gladiator at that time where the wound is like open and your blood is oozing out every minute. And you're seeing those big, large bills from the lawyers. And
Oh,
at that time, we were a small company, but we fought it all the way and we won. So that was a big, I always say that was a big bullet we took for the industry. And I'm glad we took it because someone had to.
well,
Yeah, I want to high five him.
well, yeah, I've got it. Well, congratulations on that win. Most definitely, that is amazing. So I've got a question here, but I'm going to ask you one real quick just to be able to keep this rolling, guys. Remember, ask your questions once we get a minimum of 10. We've already got the first one in. After that, we'll do the little trivia question and the Carhartt FR shirt giveaway. Um, so with the fact that you guys are pulling together all of this data, do you really see that this is benefiting a lot of these smaller independent operators? Because that's what's really unique about the lower 48 is that you've got a lot of independent operators as opposed to, in China, you've got a national oil company or Brazil or Nigeria, you've got a national oil companies. Here, you've got lots of independents that are playing right alongside super majors. Are these guys that are the ones that are really benefiting off of the fact that they get to be pulled into these large data sets?
So it's a great question, Dave. So, I think you hit the nail on the head there. Our entire goal was how do you level the play field between small to medium-sized operators and help them do things which only happen in large companies, right? Because in large company, there's big development shops, there is big R&D teams, right? They have a big, data management teams out there, right? But if you look at small to medium independents, they're the ones who need the real help. So I took the same model as Southwest. I went off, like Southwest went after regional airports before they went to the national airports and gave a big tough fight to, at that time, what we had American Airlines and United, right? Or Continental at the time. So we chose the same path that we went more after the small to medium sized independents. We basically became a plus one to them. So we actually had in-house over 50 petroleum engineers who are just doing data quality. We have over 30 developers who are just doing data science, right? Then we have an army of advisors who we call customer service managers, or sorry, customer success managers, and their job is to help share with our clientele what others are doing in the basin, because it's all about leveling the play field. Because that's when you lift the industry to the next level by just focusing on few big ones and trying to make them do things better. That doesn't change and influence the industry. It's when you uplift everybody together is when it uplifts the industry, and that's really been our mission and vision of how we attack the whole landscape.
Well, a rising tide lifts all ships.
Absolutely.
So that's a great one. Okay, so Drew Wood has got a question. Integrated well site reporting apps with visibility to all instead of DD and MWD entering the same info in multiple reports. I guess the question there is, do you guys do integrated well site reporting apps with the visibility to all?
It's a great question. Let me answer in two ways. Any report which can generate numbers from raw data is what we can create automatically today, because that is machine data. But there is also a big element out there which nobody's focusing on today, and I think industry is blindsiding itself to it. It's called human-generated data.
Okay.
And I think this is what the person is asking in the question. There's a lot of human-generated data, and you have to be able to mine and capture that along with the machine data. So what is human-generated data? It is exactly human entering certain text fields, right, manually from what they calculate. Human putting up a video, humans putting up images, human putting up comments and likes on LinkedIn like you and I do. So that is all human-generated data. So how we capture that to essentially create that one view is through our product in our platform called ProWise. So anybody who's using ProWise essentially is an app, which is like an asset page. And asset page is nothing but like you and I have a LinkedIn page. Imagine now you have an asset page where you can have followers and unfollow wells or folks. And then you can essentially use that just like a LinkedIn page where you can post things. So when you post in that, we can take that, combine that with machine data and give you a one report.
Oh, wow. Interesting. So tell me this, as far as what you guys are pushing for, because we're still waiting on to get some more questions from everybody that's watching out there. We got 26 viewers. Hey, you guys gotta throw out the questions here if y'all want that free Carhartt shirt. With the things that you guys are working on, where do you see machine learning and AI being able to incorporate first to be able to give the best return on investment? Because anytime I've talked to somebody about AI or machine learning, they're like, we can solve any problem, we can do anything. And I'm like, could we do just the basic one, or which one's the best value add? What are you guys attacking first? If you guys have already implemented some stuff, please feel free to share.
So let me answer this question in two parts for you based on my experience in Silicon Valley, because as probably your viewers know, since 2015, I've been living there for 15 days a month and 15 days in Houston. Obviously, wow. I pick on a lot of good things which are happening in Silicon Valley. So first, and this is, I think, where I'm a little worried about our industry, where we got to separate the signal from the noise. You use the word machine learning and AI, and let me just first explain and get on the same page with everybody. So if you think about broad term, machine learning is a subset of AI, and then deep learning is a subset of machine learning. Silicon Valley is already moving away from machine learning, right? It's actually focusing more on deep learning as we speak. So when people say, what can we do with machine learning and what can we do with AI? First, we have to all understand that there is a subtlety in what is machine learning and what is deep learning. So I see that lots of companies use the word AI very loosely. And yes. I think you hit the nail on the head. In Silicon Valley, there was a survey done with 5,000 enterprises who are trying to run different projects around machine learning, right? Which is a subset of AI, and yep. Deep learning, which is a subset of machine learning. And what they found is the biggest challenge of any of these, what I call the force multipliers of data analytics, right? If you think about machine learning and deep learning, they're nothing but force multipliers of data analytics. And data analytics has been happening in the industry for last 25 years, which I call business intelligence, right? The BI platforms, which existed, yep. Right? So AI machine learning and deep learning is nothing but a force multiplier of data analytics, right? So that's why so many projects, and why, in spite of spending millions and multi-millions in these projects at enterprise level, we're not seeing these projects to scale beyond proof of concepts. And what 57% respondents to the survey, who are basically C-level executives at these 5,000 corporations, which is encompassing everything, retail and consumer side of things, and automotive and aerospace, everybody, right? What they found is that a lot of people were defining the problem wrong. So 57% respondent
Ah,
says, if you don't define the problem you're trying to solve right, then you're never going to have a successful, scalable result which you can apply across your enterprise. So I think that is one challenge I see in the industry, that if you learn anything from that Silicon Valley survey, that a lot of people may not be defining what they're trying to solve in the right way. And I think you hit the nail on the head. Ultimately, it comes down to ROI. And I want to share some examples of ROI in my talk at Energy DOT on 15. So I hope the viewers will come there. But I do encourage every startup who's going to be there at Energy DOT to start sharing those ROI, those compelling value things out there. Don't talk about just the noise that we are doing an AI project, right?
yeah.
Talk about what value you're creating from it, and if that value you're creating is scalable to everything.
Yeah,
I don't know if that answers your question, but I wanted to give you a high level kind
yeah,
of.
I actually read a report recently that talked about of the number of companies promoting the fact that they were doing some form of AI, that over half of them actually weren't doing anything AI. Like
Right.
they were saying they're AI companies, but they may be just doing basic data analytics or, some kind of forward-thinking math prediction models and stuff. But it wasn't actually artificial intelligence or neural networks or machine
Absolutely
learning or
correct.
deep learning or any of the subsets that are there within AI. And so it just, it always makes me kind of stop and think. It's like, okay, people are talking about it, but are they actually doing something with it? Or are they just saying, we got a bunch of numbers and we pointed in a direction? So it's good to hear that like there is the issue with stating the problem, understanding what that problem really is, and then being able to solve that to scale, to
Exactly.
where it can continue moving forward. All right, guys, we're up to 28 people watching now. Remember, you guys got to ask some questions. Otherwise, I'm just going to give Drew the shirt because he asked the only question that's on there. All right. Oh, wait. Okay. There's been an update here. It's I'm not getting everything on my phone, so we've got the director's phone here. So, shout out to Akash and to Prince. Both of these guys are watching, and Akash from Delhi in India. So awesome, man. Glad to have you guys watching. All right, Zach is asking, what are the savings/efficiency gained by using this software? So I'm guessing by this he means by Mobilize. What are some of the savings and efficiencies that we can see by using this software?
So I like to put efficiencies in three dimensions, right? One is right away what I call the operational efficiency of the downhole tools, right? Because it has direct impact on whatever you do. Second is human efficiency, which is all about time savings. When I save you 2 hours a day from making you good busy from bad busy, what did you do that 2 hours? How did you utilize that 2 hours? Did you make some smarter decisions? Did you become more productive, right? And the third level of efficiency is, in my mind, when you can combine the operational with the work, with what I call the workflow efficiency, and you create things which people haven't even thought about, right? So what I call the risk avoidance, right? If you had not done something fast, what it could have caused you as a net result, right? And I think that's what really the three focuses are, right? So if I look at operational efficiency, we have hundreds of examples depending on the daily geological plays of how we are reducing slides in the lateral, how we are helping clients avoid stuck pipes by doing real-time token drag models, how we are creating the drilling roadmaps, which are predictive and very precise in what they tell the company man should be doing, right? So those are kind of examples on operational efficiency. On the workflow efficiencies, we are talking more about, we have helped clients do their AFEs in less than 5 minutes within 2% accuracy of prediction versus doing in the past, spending an hour to do it in Excel sheet, and then freeing them for that 45-minute period, right? And
Wow.
when you make someone free up for 45 minutes in their day, you have two options, right? Which I can't control. One, they can go and watch CNN, which I doubt they will, or they can spend that 45 minutes trying to analyze something which they never had time to do. And I think
Drilling
that's where
engineers
we
can
have
go
to
back to
go.
being drilling engineers. Quick plug to Brandon
Exactly.
Foster at
Versus
Total Depth
being-
Unlimited. He's always talking about that. Make drilling engineers again.
Exactly. And I think this is another practice I can share from Silicon Valley, right? In Silicon Valley, a lot of machine learning and deep learning has been focused on workflows first. Because if you think about it, workflows are scalable, right? So they apply more of deep learning and machine learning on the workflows first versus trying to apply it on the hardware first, right? I think we have to, I really picked on that best practice from Silicon Valley, that when you focus on workflows, they're more scalable. Because think about what iPhone did to you and I. When Steve Jobs invented the phone, he and I knew that you and I go and take pictures, right? No matter what. We listen to music, we make phone calls. He collapsed the inefficiencies in those workflows for you and I to try and put that in that single source of truth, which is basically the iPhone today, right?
Yes.
And he made sure that you and I can then use that iPhone and look at how much productive it made. So the pros of iPhone, what it made us very productive. The cons of that was it got us addicted. You know, that's the only negative of it.
Might not be quite an addiction as it is just an evolution of, people wanting convenience.
Look,
So-
I'm getting carpal tunnel, so I'm carrying my my hand better with me nowadays.
That's also for rock climbing or jujitsu, right? So let's see here. So we've got hey, Thomas Cannon. Just so everybody know, Thomas Cannon is a really, really smart guy. And if you are looking to bring on a really, really smart guy to your team, Thomas Cannon is the guy. I'm just telling you, he's my prediction. He's going to be the guy that's bringing Microsoft, Google, or Amazon into the directional, or not even directional drilling, but into the oil and gas, E&P upstream space with all of their capabilities. Thomas Cannon's going to be the guy. Thomas commented here, data quality, relevance, and the access to meaningful data still remains an issue from field to office. So I'll make a question out of that, and we'll call that question number 2. Talk to us a little bit as far as making sure that you've got the good data quality, and making sure that it's being captured correctly in the field, so that people who are making decisions in the office can make the correct decisions there. What issues did you guys see when you first started that maybe you guys have already kind of conquered? And then what kind of like legacy things still might be out there that, is either outside your domain or something that you guys are trying to combat right now?
That's a great question. So a little bit background here. In 2011, 12, 13, when no one was talking about edge devices or the IoT of today, we actually had put on the drilling rigs close to 200 black boxes. These were smart boxes which would take data from DDs and MWDs, mud loggers, and EDRs, because everybody at that time was trying to figure out how do you actually replace Pason and Totco, and how you take data directly from the Omron systems and essentially bring that in an edge device and then ship it back to the office, right?
Yep.
So we actually scaled that to 200 rigs in doing that. But so let me share the positives we learned from doing that and then the negatives, right? Which kind of bring as an organization. How we matured in data quality, you can read on our website under, I believe if you go to our website, and I'm not going to talk a lot about that here, but if you kind of look at what do we do with data quality in 3 levels, I think you'll get a lot of depth of things I was going to kind of summarize on this show right now. But let me just back up and talk about what we learned. So what we started learning is there's a reason Pason and Totco exist, and they're very hard to disperse. And why is that is because no matter how much infrastructure matures, and in 10, 11, I understand, in 11, 12, 13, the internet wasn't everywhere. The Wi-Fi wasn't everywhere. But the challenge you run into is when you start bringing data from all these different disparate systems in it, Pason Totco are extremely smart at how they buffer both low resolution data and high resolution data. And then they're very good at moving that across their satellite systems. anytime you're a startup organization and you try to do the same thing, now you run into a lot of problem because you have too many people in the supply chain to actually manage. So I think that was one of the biggest challenges we ran into when we were trying to do data quality on the rigs. And we basically then divided data quality in 3 levels, which is explained on our website. And we essentially started tackling one by one. And what we realized is no matter how much you invest in data quality, it is partly art and partly science. So science could be automated by having a lot of smart algorithms. A simple example of the science could be ROP is essentially coming at 6,000 feet an hour for last 1,000 feet at 2 in the morning on a Sunday, right? So you can easily write an algorithm to flag that. But the bigger question is, how do you go and fix it? And I think that's when you have to close the loop. So what we learned the hard way is until and unless you have a data quality management service team, which works 24/7 and actually has petroleum engineers, manning those rigs, you're never going to get data quality right. So that's kind of a high level of how we really matured our processes and data quality. And today we are very proud to say that we catch 95% of data quality issues before client even catches it. And then we'll get it fixed. And the key is when we fix it, we don't call the company man. We actually call the vendors to fix with them. Because having done data quality for now 8 years, we have really mastered and vendors who actually do it. Everything I just said, one thing we did is we scaled back the edge devices and started moving to pull the data directly from the office systems and not putting edge devices any further on the rig sites. And I can answer more about why we stopped putting edge devices on the rig sites at the Energy DOT, if you would like to learn more about it.
Well, I could say this. I actually worked out on a rig where I think we had one of your laptops.
Oh, really?
And we'd have the guys that are calling, and we would have actually a Mobilize employee call my cell phone and be like, hey, what happened with the gamma? And I'm like, I'm fighting with it right now. Don't worry. I was like, when it gets online, it'll get back online. So yeah, there was definitely that oversight there of people looking and making sure that the data was coming in. So we've had a couple of comments in here. Just want to be able to throw them out, make sure that we are seeing. So Drew Wood, I would like to see a real-time capture and integration of drilling data parameters, dynamics, performance, and reliability. So I think that's talking about kind of what y'all fought the patent over, which is being able to capture what's taking place. Because right now, I can still say this: the majority of directional drilling companies that are, capturing that human input data, saying instead of it actually being machine data, it's being human input data, saying circulate for this long, drill for this long, use this much weight on bit, when there's actually a machine on the rig site that's capturing all of that, which should be the one that's reporting that information, but it's actually a human reporting it. So I'm on board with what Drew's saying here. I would like to be able to see that kind of product be rolled out to the rig, because I think it would be absolutely phenomenal. And if you want help writing it, I could definitely help out, Amit. So I'll be right there with you.
My take is to me, my grand vision is that you should not use tally book. I know.
Hold on, Amit. It's cutting out again. You're saying some really good stuff. Hold on.
Start that thought over.
Just start that one over again. You said your grand vision is. We'll go from there.
Yeah, my grand vision is you should not have a tally book, with you all the time. You should have an iPhone or a Samsung phone. And you should be able to type things right there. And some sort of machine learning should be able to guide you with what you're writing, so it's written fast. It's like Gmail helps you when I write emails now, and then you can just sync it and it's done. So essentially it avoids double dipping, because you don't have to first write on Tallybook, then write into WellView and Open Wells. You don't have to then try and essentially you don't have to worry about spending 45 minutes depending on the rig you're on, 30 minutes to an hour trying to capture all that data. Why? Technology exists to do that. And I think this is what it comes down to. It's not about technology. Sometimes it's what is the application of that technology, which can have a compelling value from an operator perspective, right? So I do believe that right now with ProWise, you don't need to write anything in a tally book or even on a paper. You can virtually write everything in it. And we are figuring a way out how to automatically combine that because it's indexed once it's in there. And once it's in there with the hashtag, you can essentially easily relate that to machine data at what depth it happened, right? So
Yep.
simple example, I can try to give a use case, right? Let's say you trip out. When you trip out, you have a BHA and the nose of the BHA is cored. Imagine you can take a picture of that, write a comment on that, the nose is cored, and this BHA, we tripped at 6,600 feet, right? Boom. And it's just basically submitted or posted on that page. And now imagine, some sort of smart algorithm can take that, relate that to what was happening around it, and then sync it automatically to a central database. And you're done. That's what I mean by workflows. That's what I meant as focus, because that's scalable, right? Because everybody uses Tallybook. Everybody writes or creates that human content. But nobody thinks about capturing and mining it.
And for me, I look at that as you're solving problems in the industry that most people don't even recognize it's a problem because
Right.
it's so baked into the normal way of doing things. It's not even people looking at it and saying, "Hey, this is the way we've always done it." It's just part of your normal day process that you don't even think, "Hey, there might be a better way to do this." That leads to such a greater return just because you're mitigating some of those stuff. So it's great to hear that. Let's see. So it's like Drew, Thomas, and George are the only three that are. We got 45 people watching. So let me announce again: 10 questions, and then we're gonna give away a shirt. Or heck, there's few of people that are asking questions. So look, I'll just give somebody $20. You guys just start. Oh, that's not the 20. You guys just start asking some more questions. I'm trying to get people more involved and engaged with this thing. So come on, guys. So Thomas came back and said, "So how long before deep learning and AR integrate into meaning visualizations?" Thanks for the shout out, David. Thomas, anytime, brother. I'm gonna help you find a job just yet.
So Thomas, great question once again. For the audience sake, let me first tell you the difference between machine learning and deep learning so we're on the same page. And then I'll answer your question, how long, right? So the key difference between machine learning and deep learning is machine learning requires human programmers to create algorithms which have tweaked to learn more. In deep learning, you don't need human programmers at all. And a good example of deep learning and machine learning is deep learning. If you think about how did AlphaGo of Google beat Lee Sedol, right? Because there was no human programmers involved in it. The sheer volume of data and the neural network, it kept learning and teaching itself. But in machine learning, is a good example is how does Netflix know what you and I want to watch, after we have watched few shows? So that's the first distinction between machine learning and deep learning. So now let's build on it. Why Silicon Valley is moving more towards deep learning and giving up on machine learning? Simply for one big reason. Machine learning does not take into account human cognitive skills. So what does human cognitive skills mean? It's how we pay attention, how we learn and process things in our brain. So think about it, me going to a conference room with 5 people sitting in it, right? So when I subconsciously, when I see 5 people sitting, I can see their body language, I can see what glasses they're wearing. I can see what shirts they're wearing, how they're posturing towards me and whatnot, right? That's what human cognitive skills are. So deep learning is trying to address that. And we are very far away today from actually seeing a lot of application of it. The only place I've seen it really have predictions as good as probably 60 to 70% is in trying to understand images. So Google and Amazon are trying a lot to apply deep learning in images. So you asked a great question, how do you apply deep learning with augmented reality? And my reply, honestly, is I don't know when it comes to oil and gas, because in oil and gas, if you think from an end consumer perspective, he or she does not give a shit about deep learning or machine learning. What he or she gives a shit about is making a decision. And as long as something helps a decision, they just buy into that and they say, okay, this is great and this works for me, right? So if you ask me what's a great application of deep learning with augmented reality, even I don't have an answer for you today. But if you ask me, which one of these has more applicability towards specific problems in energy today, I think it's machine learning. Because we are way far away as an oil and gas industry today to do a lot of deep learning and AR applications which are meaningful.
Excellent. All right, so we're getting some more questions rolling in. Thanks. We got 42 people watching. I should give a quick shout out to Matt Kerr, one of y'all's sales guys. Great guy, good friend. I know he's got to be watching. So at the very least, Matt, just comment, let us know where you're watching from, so your boss can check in on you there. So we've got a lot of comments coming in here. This is good stuff. So I can't get to all of them. So the here's one. Martin Farr, directional driller that I used to work with, another great guy. He says, do you see AI playing a role in directional drilling?
Oh, absolutely. I do believe AI will play a big role in directional drilling. I think there are companies out there who are already testing and trying to improve the predictions. And I think Motive is the name of that company, right? So Motive is trying to use, I honestly don't know what they're using. Are they using machine learning? Because again, like I said, AI is a very general use term, right? I see AI being applied in directional drilling from not just improving how you should stay in the pay zones, but I think from a workflow perspective, it can be really applied to guide directional drillers a lot more about their manufacturing plants, right? My background is supply chain, and I believe that
maybe not so much at the rig site, but getting the equipment to the rig site and preparing the equipment for the job.
Correct. So I see that, again, I'm not a domain expert as a directional driller, but I can tell you, I would highly recommend you try to look at what are the workflows in the supply chain, what I call the value chain, and which of them are cumbersome, and how do you apply, machine learning or deep learning, into it, and try to simplify that, right? And if that's in manufacturing area of it or the assembly of it, absolutely, right? Or if you want to apply that, and how it's transported to the rig site is another area I would look at. Because too many people get focused on what goes downhole and they forget there's so many other things are happening. Kind of like when you drill a well, think about how many times everybody thinks about technical limits in terms of on-bottom efficiency. But what about all the off-bottom efficiency areas, right? When you drill a well, there are many activities beyond just drilling, right?
It's true.
Right? Example, you have BOP nipple up, you have BOP test, you have bond logs, being drawn and all that. Why we're not thinking about technical limits in those areas? So you have to look at a value chain and then attack problems, which in my opinion, if you want to attack it and create meaningful innovations, you have to focus on solving the workflows first versus getting caught up with where everybody else is going. And there's a difference between innovation and meaningful innovation, which I'll cover later. But I will use the word meaningful innovation a lot in this show and at Energy DOT as well.
I'm glad you brought that up, because there was at one point in time I was doing some sales on a product, and one of the operators that I met with that I said, this could increase ROP and this could, help you drill your wells faster. And they were like, really, drilling our wells faster isn't that big of a deal in the total time that we're on bottom versus the time span of like a month or something that we have that rig. They're like, our biggest time loss is in the rig move. They're like, if you could get our rig move to go a day faster or 2 days faster, he's like, then you would save us way more money than drilling 10 to 15 to 20% faster. It's more of like, can you shave a day off of our rig moves? And at the time I was selling something completely outside of that, and I was like, I got nothing for you there. I was like, there's those moving vans. It's like 2 guys in a truck. That's the best I could recommend. So. And Matt finally said, what's up? Glad to see Matt. So, hey, guys, feel free to share this. We're up to 45 viewers. Let's see if we can crack over 50. So I'm really glad that you answered that one as far as the, AI playing the role in directional. So I have a follow-up question to that, which is, so one of the board of directors, so Anadarko, obviously they're going through a sale right now and stuff, but they had brought on a guy, Dr. Sean Gurley, right, who's very forward-thinking, Silicon Valley kind of guy. He's a PhD in, I think, physics or something. They brought him on to be able to deal with all of the big data issues they had, right? And so now their third floor at the Anadarko building's like a whole Silicon Valley kind of style setup. But in one of his YouTube talks, he talks about how they did the whole, machine versus or the computer versus the chess player. And then they found out that, if you combine the computer with a person and you have what they call the Centaur approach, and now there's a whole league, like there's this whole Centaur competition kind of thing that takes place with these grandmasters and stuff coupled with the computer. So to bring all of that back in full circle, obviously there's a lot of directional drilling guys, just like Martin and some of these other guys that are out there in the field who are, they're looking at, AI and machine learning and companies like Motive they're saying, oh, they can drill a well better. But obviously through what's already been proven, it's a combination of the two. It's the computer and the person. Correct. What recommendation would you have to these directional drilling guys that have lots of experience, who have lots of knowledge, even MWD guys or drillers, any of these guys that are working out in the field that, you bring up these talks about automation and they're like, yeah, but what would the computer do in this situation, right? I see it as you pair up with the machine and it's the two of you fighting the problem, not one going against each other or competing. What recommendation would you have for these guys that are out in the field who are, they're seeing kind of that movement coming? How do you think those guys should get involved and get ahead of that wave to be able to bring the best value they can? Is it partnering with companies like yourself or starting their own thing or what? How would you advise that?
It's a good question. I think this is why, I emphasized when I started this discussion that what we are trying to build is a platform, not a product, right? And a platform is a good example is Uber, a good example is Amazon, a good example is Apple, right? Because they join consumers with producers, right? One of the challenges I personally faced is when I was a one-man show, it took me a decade to build an organization today, staff for offices. And, you don't want everybody to go through the same pains I went through. So part of my learning has been, if you want to pair human with machines, and human to me have the expertise, and the machine is nothing but that zeros and one, that data, and both machine and the human data. So if you could open the access to that high quality data to the directional folks in this case, like you mentioned, and then they can, with their expertise, create some apps, and then they can offer to the, to our clients who are the consumers, right? So Mobilize essentially works with 50 plus customers today. So how do we help you take your ideas to them in a fast form so that they can test and try them and give you feedback directly? And I think that's what I envision creating, because I feel that there are a lot of great ideas out there, but you can have the great technical expertise, but if it's not combined with the business expertise, it's still useless, right? And vice versa, if you have a great business expertise, but if it's not combined with good technical expertise, it's useless. So you have to partner. So to me, I believe in partnerships as a strong way forward. And I'm very open, and after the show, if you really want to come to us directly, we can talk at Energy DOT or we can talk, offline. But we are very open to how do we give you access to our clients with what you have, if you believe strongly it has a compelling value to them instantly.
Well, I definitely believe in that movement, because I think that there's a lot of, what we like to call slide monkeys in the industry. These are guys that really don't know what they're doing as far as directional drilling expertise, don't have that technical mindset, don't have a long-term experience, and they're just getting out there doing a job, and they're making $1,000, $1,500 a day, if those are still what the day rates are. But then you have these other guys that are very well experienced, very knowledgeable of the in the industry, and they're going to be here regardless of what takes place, automation or not. It's just, I think that they're going to be in a different capacity. And so instead of saying like a computer programmer is going to be taking my job, or they can't program an app to do this, and it's like, they probably could, but they're going to need your help. You're going to be that expert oversight to be able to tell them, hey, these are the problems that I run into in the Austin Chalk. These are the problems that I run into in the Delaware. Oh, when we're getting hung up and I see the differential spike in just a certain way and Toolface do this is how you combat that. And so it becomes this thing to where, you, instead of you being the lone ranger out on the rig site, it's combining with companies like yourself, or just finding another programmer out there and then coming to you guys and saying, hey, look, we've got a great idea. So I'm glad to hear and see that you're open to that, to have these guys be able to come talk to you, because I really do believe that that's going to be the way forward for the industry. And I can see my screen here is just lighting up. Slide monkeys are required if you're going to do remote directional drilling. All right, Armin from Wellbenders. So thanks, Armin, for joining in there. Let's see. We've even got even more guys. This is great stuff going here, guys. Thanks for joining in. Be sure to keep asking your questions. All right, so let's say this. So going forward, what do you think are going to be some of the big changes in the industry as far as technology coming forward, without having to give away everything that you're going to be talking about at Energy Dot? But what are some of the things that you see coming through the pipeline that are going to make a paradigm shift or a considerable shift in another direction than what we're doing today?
Are you talking about the digital trends? Are you talking about what will change in our industry?
Just anything. I'll leave that one completely open. Wherever it gets your brain juices flowing.
So let me talk about. Maybe I'll try to answer both. Then I think the digital trends which are coming is, I do believe that, and I'm going to say this with the apostrophe is cautious. If we try to cautiously move forward with talking about machine learning, and applying it in the right way, I do believe that it can give a big boost to data analytics, because at the end of the day, when you talk about machine learning, and if you think about it, I'm staying away from the word AI, right, a lot in this conversation, because AI is just a big umbrella at the end of the day. What really is important is the machine learning, which is a subset of AI, right? So, and deep learning is way out there, so let's not even talk about it. I think we're just fooling the industry if we talk about deep learning at this stage, when even Google and Amazon are trying to figure it out, right? So when it comes to machine learning, so I do believe machine learning has a lot of potential, and it will definitely supercharge the data analytics piece of it, purely from a perspective of the value proposition of speed and scalability. What that means is you can actually analyze lots of data, and that is scale. And speed means how fast it can give you predictability, right? So I do believe accuracies and predictions coming from machine learning will start to improve. I do believe everything will become a service as we go forward. And when I say everything, you already know hardware is a service, right? You can rent a rig, you can rent directional companies. I see that happening a lot with the softwares as well. I see more and more companies, when I say companies, I talk about E&P companies now, more and more of them will put all their native applications on the cloud as well. And they will move away slowly and steadily out of trying to have big IT staffs to manage all these in-house digital models today, right?
Yeah.
So I see that trend happening as well. I do believe that, and there's something I saw in Silicon Valley, and I'm pretty excited about how this shapes out in energy as well. All of a sudden, in the last few years, I have seen more startup emerging than I have seen in last decades. And one thing I've noticed by these startups is that more startups come and they're in the cloud. We're going to start seeing API innovations. And what that means is, I'll explain that with an example. We all use Uber, right? And everybody in Uber also uses the messaging and the calling of the driver. What many people don't know is that is actually powered by a company called Twilio behind the scenes.
Yep.
So for you and I, the seamless user experience is created by Uber, but it is in partnership with companies like Twilio. Many people don't know that the financial transaction you and I do on Uber is actually powered by another company, which could be Stripe in this case, right? So the API innovation is going to create that consumer experience where people will be able to pick and choose in E&P companies who is the best for what, but that create that global one UI experience to do their job, just like you and I could do on the phone. So I think that is going to be a big trend, which is going to keep coming. But I do cautious our industry a little bit. The core driver of any digital transformation is change. And if we hype too much, and as an industry, especially with startups, if we hype too much and the results or the ultimate users don't see the real value, it would hurt the industry in a big way. So we have to change things cautiously because let's face it, we are a very risk aversive market and we just
That's
don't
true.
change as fast as anybody else does. So that's really what hopefully gives you an idea. So I think changing cautiously is much better. And it's a responsibility of tech companies, including startups and the established providers, to guide the industry through it. Because I sit down with many C-level execs, and I can tell you, a lot of them don't even know, what should be happening in digital transformation because this word has been used over the last 10 years now.
Well, one of the things you said, sorry, I was reading the comments there. One of the things that you said there really strikes a chord with me because when I was working with a company in my past, obviously, once again, we were going out and trying to sell a technology and, they were looking at it and saying, no, we tried this before, 5-10 years ago or whatever. It doesn't work. Right. We took the risk and it doesn't work. And it's like, well, it's been 5 or 10 years since then. The technology has changed,
Right.
but that seed of doubt was already planted. And so now it took 4 more years to where I'm not in that space anymore, but I see the fruits of the labor of stuff that, I was doing back then. Now it's just now starting to come around and be accepted as a technology in the field. And so there is a lot to be said about being the first to market and stuff, but you got to be able to get it right because otherwise you could literally spoil it for everybody else that comes in behind you and make that sale 10 times more difficult, if not 100 times more difficult. So I see people come out with new technology and I'm always hey, go get them, do a good job, but make sure you do it right because if not, like if you guys don't get it, then the next person that comes after you is going to have an even bigger uphill battle to be able to face it. And you and yourself because of whatever objections or shortcomings you may have had, that it just makes it that much more difficult with such a risk adverse industry.
Yeah, and one thing, if I may add, and I think this is the difference between Silicon Valley and oil and gas, right? In Silicon Valley, at every enterprise, IT is seen as a big competitive advantage. Let's face it, in oil and gas, it would never be that case. IT will always be seen as a support center, not a competitive advantage. Will that change overnight? No. And this, I think, is partly another thing I wanted to answer with your previous question. I'm hoping in next 5 to 10 years, IT will be seen as a competitive advantage, not as a support arm. And I think that's a fundamental shift which must happen if we want to become like Silicon Valley, because Silicon Valley is all about fast fail, right? Let's fail fast and fix it and move on. Versus in our industry, if we fail, the
go
whole
back to the way it
mindset
used to be.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, shout out to my other LinkedIn Live buddy in Dallas, Kyle Burt. So I'll be making sure he sees that little bit of a clip because you even look at just how things, even for your business, I can only imagine how far things have come along with better remote connectivity, better internet access at the rigs, and how big of an impact that has had, and the numerous companies that have capitalized on the fact that you go from 3G to 4G to 4G LTE and then potentially here into 5G connection at the rig site, and how much of an impact that's going to have. I know Chevron has already mentioned that they would be manless drilling on at least as far as the directional side. They would be manless on all of their rigs, but the only shortcoming is that, and the reason they haven't expanded to more is because of internet connectivity, right? So that holds true to what you're saying is IT could be what leads your company into a direction as opposed to just being a support function. It's one of those things that I think IT and marketing are two of the things that always get the short end of the stick in oil and gas. So
I can tell you 10 years back, I was saying the same thing. IT should become competitive advantage. And 10 years forward, and it still hasn't happened. So you can see the difference. That's a fundamental challenge in our industry, that IT is not seen as a competitive advantage at all.
All right, guys, we're about finished here. I don't want to take up too much more of your time, Amit, but we want to give the chance. Screw it. Y'all didn't ask all the questions, but I'm still going to do it. All right, here's the trivia question. All right, guys, I want y'all to be able to tell me what is the Mobilize's vision. It's on their website. What is Mobilize's vision? put that in the comments. Whoever does it first, I'm gonna hook them up with a Carhartt FR shirt. And if you're like Drew and you say you've already got a drawer full of Carhartt shirts or whatnot, and you want something different, then just let me know. In the meantime, we'll throw out there. We got 53 people watching. One of them's got to be able to get that. So Thomas Cannon said, days, dollars, depths, the current drivers for the oil and gas market. Is that something you're seeing? You agree with that one, Amit?
Days, dollars, and depth. I think that's one-dimensional. It makes a lot of sense, but it's one-dimensional. We have to expand that, right? And that's not the vision, though.
Then Drew says, there is a bottleneck at the rig. We have the slowest internet connections the operators can buy, which is very true. We do have, it is a, it's the low cost provider. So you are battling that as far as being out there. I think if it was, we say this across all, chasms of the oil and gas space, if they would spend a little bit more money, they would get, better return. If they spend a little bit more money on surveying or drilling motors or on bits or top drives or mud, it's always that minimum thing. So we have to keep that in mind, guys. They're still trying to turn a profit on these wells. Let's see. Still haven't gotten anybody to answer the question yet. Mobilize is designed to help communities create. Mobilize, we are on a mission. It says on the website, guys, it says their vision statement. What is their vision statement?
And that's you should ask what it means as well.
I can't expect them to know that. So we've got plenty of guys commenting in here. Let's see here. Oh, wait. Did somebody get it? No, not seeing it yet. Scroll up. I'm still not seeing it. Armin saying, scroll up, David, LOL. I'm just liking the fact that actually people are commenting and engaging here. You guys just keep commenting, sharing the video, and a little like. If not, I'm just going to give it away to somebody. Because we can't just sit here and keep talking like this. How about this? I'm going to turn it over to you, Amit, while we've still got people commenting in here. Give us your final thoughts on what you're looking for. What are you looking forward to hearing at the August 15th SPE Energy DOT convention? Because obviously you're going to be on stage for just an hour. We've got tons of other people that are going to be involved. What are you looking to hearing about? Which presenters and talks are you going to be feverishly taking notes at?
Oh, it's a great question. I think in a way, general answer to that is, I'm really excited to see so many good startups out there. And what I'm hoping is to see more and more of compelling value case studies and not just talk about digital transformation and talk about what we can do and whatnot. So I'm pretty excited that the more we throw out to the audience the compelling return on investments and the value we're creating, I think that's what I'm really looking for. One thing I'm really looking for, which I don't know if Energy DOT is going to do, from my Silicon Valley experience, when you attend conferences there, the agenda is never on a piece of paper, especially when you're talking about anything digital. And my challenge here is, I went to this conference recently called Energy in Data, right? It was powered by APG, right? And I was a little disappointed that so far, except Sarah Week, I've never been to one conference in energy where I could just download the app and I could actually see the agenda, see the speakers, and comment and review and ask questions. And that is one of the best practices I hope sooner than later SP is going to start adopting. Versus we always talk about digitization, but a basic conference where
Oh, hold on a bit. You're breaking up again.
In still a paper.
Sorry, Amit.
I'm here.
All right, you're saying that the industry we're doing it. You were talking about how the standard way that we're doing it right now is where you started to cut out at.
Yeah, so I was saying one of the best practice from Silicon Valley I've seen is when you go to a conference,
Yep.
any conference I attend, whether it's on data science, it's on machine learning, deep learning, what I see is it's always there's an app of the conference you can download. You have the speakers online, you can talk to the speakers, you can actually chat with the audience. So whenever I attend a conference in energy, except Sarah Week, which I spoke at early this year, I have yet to go to a SPE conference where we talk about digitization, but we still hand out agendas in a paper format. So
Yep.
I'm hoping that we change that and start to move in that direction of having an app which I can download and I can basically really be digital versus still depending on paper.
We recently had an IADD event where it was the largest MWD event ever. And when we were putting it on, they asked me, it's like, should we do a paper printout? And I was like, well, how much does that cost us? They're like, about $20 or $30. I said, no, don't do it. Just email it to everybody. Just email it. And then when they're there, just put it on a screen. Like it doesn't, there needs to be no paper involved with this. Like if somebody needs to take notes on your phone or bring your own notebook. It didn't need to be there. So we finally got the answer here. So for everybody, and Armin, I know you're watching and you're probably not going to believe this, but I've got it pulled up on my phone and I looked at it beforehand. But the vision statement says to enable zero decision latency across the E&P industry. That is Mobilize's vision statement. I'm not sure what the other statements are, but they were great things. I think, what was it? Somebody saying to improve efficiency, to reduce soft cost. I'm not sure when that falls under, but the vision one, the one that says vision on the website, said to enable zero decision latency across the E&P industry. So that person is Kendall Zakharasian. I butchered that. I apologize, but
he's with Mobilize. So.
Oh, he's with Mobilize. Oh, okay.
So Kendall, we can't give the t-shirt to Kendall.
Well, no, that's fair enough. Hey, but do know, Kendall, you just ratted yourself out to your boss that you haven't been doing anything for the past hour. So Mobilize Productivity has been doing this over the last hour. So hey, thanks guys. Armin, thanks for watching. Aria Libman from Plug and Play is commenting. Wow, everybody's actually. Oh, Armin says he already got it. Well, Armin, I don't see where it's at. Oh, Armin did get it. My bad. I didn't scroll up far enough. Never mind. Kendall, you were already voted out by your boss. Armin, you do get it. My apologies, Armin. Okay. You'll get your shirt. Armin, you guys are a great client. You guys you get a Gibson Reports cup too. All right, so Zachary Powers, Thomas Cannon, Drew Wood, Armin with Wellbenders, Drew with Pro, Martin Farr, Amazing Directional Drills. Thanks, guys. Thanks for contributing. Thanks for being a part of this. Amit and everybody over at Mobilize who's been a part of this, Matt Kerr included. You guys, thank you so much for being a part of today's show. We'll look forward to the SPE August 15th Energy DOT conference, NE with NOV, who helped put this together and be able to set up this interview. Thank you so much. We're definitely going to have to run this one back a bit. We'll get you here in the studio, or we'll come over there, something like that, probably 3 or 4 months down the road, talk about some more of this and continually keep having these conversations. Anybody that is watching that is a directional driller, MWD guy, or if you're one of the field, even on the production side, if you're a field guy and you've got an idea, you think you can help bring value, and you just need to be able to partner up with somebody who's got the computer and technical skill set to be able to put it into some kind of digital format, get in touch with these guys. Mobilize. He opened it up. He said it. Call us up. Get in touch with us. There you go. I think that's it for today's show. Amit, anything you want to say before you go?
No, thank you. I'm looking forward to being in the Energy DOT. Very excited about it.
All right, guys. I'm going to be there. Amit's going to be there. Wade from yesterday is going to be on the show. Nee's going to be there. There's tons of people. A lot of really good conference. Thanks so much for being a part of this, Amit. And I think that's it for now. So, guys, as always, know your industry.